Being a recovery people pleaser, I want to share with you what you need to know in order to stop pleasing other people and how you can start living your own life. Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, my name is Bennett. I'm here to share some ideas that have helped me move the needle just a little bit, and I hope you find it beneficial. As a former people pleaser, I know that there's so many different frustrating things that might be going on in your own life. It's possible we don't feel good about ourselves, we're doing things for other people, and even sometimes making life-changing decisions because somebody else has an opinion. But what we have to understand is that if we want to live the lives that we want to be living, we have to start to take responsibility for that. And here are my 7 tips that you can start to use if you find yourself being a people pleaser. The first thing you need to do is you need to try to understand who it is that you're trying to please. You see, many times it could be one specific person, it could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could be somebody in your own community, that regardless of what you're doing, you're constantly thinking about what it is that they think you should be doing. You're putting yourselves in their shoes to say, hey, what is it that they think I should be doing? And then taking that action. And we could start to identify that person. We could start to realize when it is something rational and something not irrational. Because assuming you're a people pleaser, you're a really good person and you really want the best for other people. But what we have to understand is that if we're constantly pleasing other people, it's not good for us, and it's also not good for the person we're trying to please. They're going to have certain expectations in their life that you're going to be setting up for them that are just not realistic. If we could start to recognize who that person is, we could come with more awareness. And I remember when I first finally recognized who that person was. And in the beginning, I got so turned off by them, I just didn't want to be around them. But then I realized I need to learn the skills that I could use in order to allow myself to really help them out when they need, but also not get taken advantage of. Once we could see the problem, then we have the ability to move forward. There is one warning sign here though, because at the end of the day, it might not be that this person is really doing it on purpose. As a people pleaser, we love pleasing other people. It could have just been that they just think you're a really nice person, and this is what you do. So although we might want to hold resentment towards this person, it's very possible that it's really on us that we need to really work on. And by doing that, we're going to be able to have a normal relationship with them. Of course, there are other people who might be taking advantage of you. In that case, we're going to bring up in just a little bit. The second tip you need to know is that you need to have the growth mindset. You see, Carol Dweck made famous this idea of the growth versus the fixed mindset. When somebody has the growth mindset, they know that they can change. They know that if they work on themselves, they can become somebody different. While somebody who has a fixed mindset believes whatever it is that they're good at, but whatever they think they're bad at, they are also bad at. And for so many people, they set themselves up because they don't think that they can change. And I want to tell you is that you can change. It's not going to be easy, but you can change if you really, really want to. And if we just start to get that shift, then we have the ability to start to plant the seeds that are necessary for us to change. Because if I would ask you in about 6 months from now, if you want to take your people pleaser dial from an 80 all the way down to a 30, I'm sure the answer would be yes. So let's start focusing on the small disciplines that we can take to allow ourselves to pull back from being a people pleaser and allowing ourselves to live our life while also being a good person to other people. Having the growth mindset is going to be key, because if you don't think you're going to change, guess what? You're probably right. But what's exciting about that also is that if you do think you're going to change, you're also probably right. For my third tip, I want to get real practical, because I believe that many people pleasers say this one phrase over and over and over again, and it is a clue if you are considered a people pleaser. And the phrase is, I don't know. Are you the type of person when somebody asks you something, you just say, I don't know. What do you want to do with your life? I don't know. What's your favorite food? I don't know. You see, that was one of the phrases that I loved saying when I was a people pleaser, because all it did is it kept me in this neutral safety zone. And by me being in a safety zone, I wasn't ever going to offend somebody. So if somebody asked me my opinion or a question, I would always be able to get out of it by saying I don't know, because I really just wanted to please everybody who was around me. But what we have to understand is that if we are somebody who says I don't know, it's usually because we have a very low self-esteem, and deep down inside we really do know. What we have to start to do is we have to build ourselves up. And the way we do that is we start to take the small things that we know we should be doing. And what we have to realize is something does get offended, that's really their issue, that's not our issue. So ask yourself, when are times in your life that you say, I don't know, but really you do know? That can be the thing that could really start to switch and allow us to step into the opinions that we might have. So when somebody asks to borrow money, instead of giving it to them, we have the ability of saying no. Or if somebody asks you which restaurant you want to go to, you have an opinion on what it is that you want to be doing. By building our self-esteem, we are going to be able to give an answer and really own what it is that we want. It also meshes into the idea of indecision. And as Jim Rohn says, indecision is the thief of opportunity. And for me in my own personal life, there were decisions that I was pushing off years, and because of that, I wasn't able to take advantage in certain areas of my life. We have the ability to decide and to give an honest answer, because every time we say I don't know, what's really happening is that we're saying that we don't matter. And the truth is, you do matter. Your opinion does matter. So catch yourself when you say, I don't know, take a breath, and get the courage to really take that action. The fourth tip is a practical piece of advice that you can start to use. Because at the end of the day, when we want to make a decision, when we say, I don't know, when we want to have an opinion, we have to realize that it is a muscle that we built. And because we're people pleasers, we have all built the muscle to say, I don't know, and to not have an opinion. But now we have to go to the gym, and now we have to start to have an opinion. So the next time somebody asks you something, regardless of whether it's a big deal or not a big deal, have an opinion. The next time your parents ask you where you want to go out to eat, give them your opinion. And even if you really don't care and you don't have an opinion, look to decide, because what that's going to do is it's going to allow us to decide for the next time when the opinion does matter. If we can start to build these muscles, that can be the thing that can help us starting to move forward. And for so many people, they don't realize that they can move forward. And because they're just holding themselves back, and because they don't have strong muscles in this area, they don't allow themselves to be able to move. That being said, if you are somebody who is getting benefit from this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. The fifth tip is to recognize that we have to start saying no. You see, as a people pleaser, one of the things that we do every time somebody asks us to do something is that we say yes. And what we have to realize is that even though we might be saying yes all the time, and really we can do that thing, and it's a really good deed that we're doing, if we don't ever have a backbone and we can't ever say no, there's an issue there. There's a difference between saying yes when you have no other choice versus saying yes when you have a decision, a yes or no. What we have to start to do is we have to build ourselves out and to recognize, what is it that I can do to start to say no? And I remember the first time I said no to that person who I was trying to please. They came over to me and asked me for $20. And it was right after I started feeling how annoyed I was that I couldn't say no to somebody. And when he came over to me, I knew he was going to ask me for something. And once he said it, I said no. And the craziest thing happened. He just said, okay. And he just turned around to ask somebody else. And whether I had the $20 or whether I didn't have the $20, what was interesting is that I needed to understand for myself that I could say no. And it was the biggest eye-opener for me, because at the end of the day, by me saying no doesn't mean I'm a bad person. And what we have to realize in the beginning, we're going to have to be more aggressive with our no's. We have to learn to practice that in our vocab. And I know what you're thinking, but I don't want to be a jerk. I don't want to say no if I really can help. And let me tell you, you're not going to be. The fact that you're a people pleaser, you're always going to be on the nicer edge of being that guy. But recognizing that we have the ability to say no is going to be so important, because then even when we say yes, we are choosing to say yes as opposed to being forced to say. And because we're going to be able to say no, people will respect you. I remember when I was dating, there were so many times that I would go out and I just didn't have an opinion about something. I always wanted to do what they wanted to do. But what I realized is that the girls didn't want me to just give it into everything. They wanted me to have an opinion. They wanted me to have a backbone. They wanted to feel secure with me in a relationship. And I respect them for that. And I respected myself for that. So by me working on myself to be able to say no, it really started helping me to move forward, to be able to get the support that I needed for myself, but also with the people around me. And that takes me to my sixth tip, where if you are surrounded by people who might be even taking advantage of you, what we have to do is we have to surround ourselves with different people. Jim Rohn famously said that we are going to be the average of the 5 people around us. And if we are around certain people who are always taking advantage of us or always asking us for favors, what we have to realize is that we have to separate ourselves from. It's not fair that you should be living their life also. You have to be living your own life. And you might say, Bennett, I've been friends with them for 15, 20, 30 years. What am I supposed to do? And the answer is we need to slowly separate away. Doesn't mean we have to cut them off. We have to push them out of our 5 closest friends. And if you say, Bennett, but it's a family member, what am I supposed to do? What we really have to do is set the appropriate boundaries that they're not going to be able to take advantage of us. And even if they get frustrated, it's not our fault. That is on them that they're getting frustrated. We've been frustrated for too long, and we've been getting taken advantage of for so long that it's not on us to fix. It is on them to work on their situation. We have to protect ourselves, and we have to really put up those walls to make sure that nobody penetrates them. And the 7th and final tip is to really go out and explore what you want. You see, if I gave you a magic wand that you can have anything in the world, you could be living anywhere, you could have any type of friend you want, you could be doing any type of profession, what would that be? As a people pleaser, we're constantly thinking about what other people want from us. So therefore we evolve and mold into that type of person. We have to understand who it is that we are. What is it that we want? What is it that we want to decide, and allow ourselves to step into that role? And if you're the type of person who wants to get rid of people pleasing and really wants to start liking yourself, make sure to take a look at this next video where I give you a step-by-step guide, the seesaw technique, and what it is that you need to do in order to start liking yourself.